Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast, the show where four friends fumble through your favorite films. Today, we are reviewing Sound of Metal, a movie released in 2019 and directed by Darius Marder. So without further ado, my name is Adrian.
I'm Jay.
Taryn.
And I'm James.
Oh, God.
Oh,
You had me go there already.
That's
Audio
very
listeners.
wrong. Holy fuck. Holy shit, that was
That was very wrong. That was super.
It started
close.
good. I was like, damn, James learned it.
Did
First
you-
half
what
was
was-
perfect.
Well, you guys
Say-
put me under. You guys put me under pressure. My name is
J A
M
E.
S.
That's not an S, is it?
Is that a
S.
Z?
Isn't S
S?
just
S.
this?
That's
I
an
thought
A.
That was A.
No.
That's an A.
One of these is different.
All right, well, stay tuned. We'll find out. Let's take it.
S.
Oh shit. Oh fuck. I took a sign English class. I should know this.
Oh my god. Oh, you took the class, and I'm the one that's wrong.
Wow.
Damn,
We
man.
can both be right. I mean wrong.
Cheers, family.
All right.
I'm not
Cheers.
ready for
Cheers.
this. God damn
One's
it.
going to be rough going down.
Yeah.
I'm pouring it right now. Cheers, brothers. Cheers, chat. Wow. Ooh, God. Clarify for the audio listeners.
Oh,
James
man.
spelled his name almost right.
Oh,
The
man.
last
my body-
second.
I
And then he did-
tried. I tried.
He
man.
got
I
he got
You guys
JAME
juked me out.
and then a lot of letters after that. That I don't know. A lot
Maybe
of
it's
them.
singular in sign language.
J
Only one J.
M E S
I think that's us.
James.
But I saw like an R in there. I don't
Okay.
know. I was like,
What?
James is just putting out letters now.
What? Okay, now I'm drummer.
Dude, I don't.
What was that?
I don't know, like, any
I tried.
sign
What was
language or-
I always have to do something, right? It's always like, "Howdy, I'm James." At the end of the end of your guys'
end of the intro.
introductions.
I
Hey,
know. I'm
Hey,
like,
yo, what
it's
up?
me.
I'm like, I'll copy J, and then James.
What's
is
good,
like-
yo? So I had. Okay.
Oh, man.
Anyways,
All right.
What movie are we
Anyway,
doing?
Sound of Metal.
Oh right.
Thank you.
Dude, okay, so going into this movie.
I watched Sound of Music. Are you? What?
Oh fuck.
Shit.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Are we? Hello.
Very different.
That is a very different movie, James.
Okay.
No, but I thought this movie
Just
was
swing
going
it.
to
Just
be
swing it.
a lot more about metal, like about metal music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did too. for
And
sure.
like honestly, I'm glad that it wasn't. Like I'm just gonna say that right now is like
I think I am too.
because I don't know if I could sit through 2 hours of a movie that's about metal, like unless it's satirical and it's called Spinal Tap.
Thank
You
you.
know what I mean? Like
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because yeah,
I
but that
was-
Spinal Tap was so short though. Wasn't that movie like an hour? Fucking.
It's like
10?
an hour 20, dude.
Yeah, it was not a long
Jesus.
movie. But anyway, yeah. So it was nice to see that it wasn't really just a movie about, you know, metal. Very like almost not at all.
Yeah. I felt the same way. I was like, okay, here we go, metal. And I like metal, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
look at me.
yeah. We're all
But-
like, you know, I'm wearing a fucking Metallica shirt right now, brother.
When they started playing music, I was like, this fucking sucks. I was like, what the fuck kind of music
It's
is
like
this?
Okay.
punk
All right,
ass
we're
shit.
going-
Like
we're-
being
okay.
real, right?
We're
We're
starting
going
right away.
into
Okay.
this. Okay,
Okay.
right away. Imagine losing your hearing to some shitty ass fucking music.
Damn.
I mean, you brought it up right away.
Hold on.
You brought
There's
it up
more.
right away.
There's more.
Okay,
I
Hit
didn't.
me
I
with
didn't
it.
like the
Hit me
music that
with it.
much. Didn't like the music that they played, right? Like the music
Yeah.
in the movie. Was good,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
music
yeah.
played,
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
And then I looked at like the Wikipedia, description of this movie, and it's like a hard rock drummer, and I was like, where the
Oh.
fuck is the metal in this movie? Where is it?
Literal metal,
Turns
dude.
out-
Come on.
Literal metal is like the only place. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like a play on what is to come, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
because
like
it's-
Adrian's his internet's cutting out and he's like
Oh, is it right now actually?
No.
No.
Oh shit.
I
Okay.
was like, it
I'm
sounds
just
fine to
playing.
me.
Oh, man. I was like,
I'm
damn it.
I'm saying what he hears is like what us gamers hear when somebody's
Yeah, like staticky.
yeah, when somebody's internet is like shitty or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
but I overall like I was just not really sure what I was getting into. And right off the bat, like, the audio in the film, which is like a big part of this movie, right? Like the sound design and all that shit. But like
Mhm.
the first audio you hear is it just like okay, I waited until I could crank this shit in my living room, like up with the sound bar and the surround sound shit,
Yeah, good.
and it just didn't really sound good. And I was like, "Fuck, what? Like, is it my shit? Is it
And
what's
Yeah.
going on here?"
and I thought, and I was wondering that as well. Like I was like, this is annoyingly weird. Like, and I think that was, I want to say that's
Very much
intentional.
intentional.
Like,
It
Yes.
is.
so like
You
it was
learned that
like
later,
the
right?
but like the music, but even like the music, like it just sounded off and everything. And I don't know if it was where we were watching, where I was watching it. I put on subtitles for every movie. I always
too.
do.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
I'm
you need them for
the
this.
subtitles weren't working for this movie until eventually they turned on. But I think that was a part of the movie, right? It was
Yeah.
already a part of the movie where they added subtitles when
Are you talking about like the subtitle? Like, were
For
you
the
expecting
signing?
subtitles for sign language?
no, I wanted subtitles even during the beginning.
Well,
And
Did
I
you watch
think
it on Amazon Prime, or did you
I
watch
did
it
it.
somewhere else?
I did.
Okay.
I watched somewhere else. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, because on Amazon
Mhm.
Prime, like the subtitles were pretty
Somewhere else.
clear. It was like it would
Was it
say like muffled sound, like muffled.
okay? Yeah.
When people were
So
trying to talk and you wouldn't understand it, it would say like in I don't remember the word it used, indistinct sounds or whatever it was.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
where I was watching it didn't have the correct subtitles, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm just, and I didn't worry
You
about
didn't-
it too
you
much.
didn't
I
miss
was
it.
like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna watch the movie. I was like, I'm going to be one of the.
So did you
The
not
deaf
hear? I
this
mean,
time.
did you not have any subtitles for the signing or anything?
Yeah. Well, no, I think that was in the movie. That was actually engraved in the movie. That was
Because the
part of the
subtitles
movie.
didn't come for the signing until maybe like closer towards
Later.
midway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Towards once he started
Once you
learning.
started
Okay,
understanding it.
I was just wondering because
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and let's
no.
kind of get into that.
Then they
And, like,
showed up. Then they showed up, and which was like it was kind of interesting in a sense because I watched it in the way it was intended to be for non ASL, ASL.
Mhm.
What is it?
American Sign
Yeah.
Language.
Yeah, ASL viewers. You know, like if it was just someone who's not part of the ASL community, they would be watching it that way. So I watched it kind of how it was intended for those that audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I thought that the use of subtitles in this movie was interesting because I came off of watching Coda, that movie in Sundance that's about a bunch of a family of deaf people, and they did sorry, subtitles
Subtitles.
for the
Yeah.
sign language, and it
Mhm.
worked so well, and it was really cool, and it was like interesting. And I did
Yeah.
the same thing. I turned on the subtitles, like hoping that I would get them for the sign language, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I realized like, oh, that's like on purpose because
He does. You're
You
you're
know,
like on the
he doesn't
perspective
know.
of
yeah,
what's his name in the movie? I
Yeah.
forget, but yeah,
Ruben.
Ruben.
He's
Yeah.
trying to be integrated into this community and he's learning sign and he's very new. He's very much plunging into this world.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling that you get of especially and I don't want to jump if we're not trying to jump, but like
Jump
in the
rope.
scene where they're having dinner, where he's having dinner in the like deaf community place for the first time,
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
going back and forth
Chaos.
and talking.
It's chaos. For
Yeah,
him.
and
Yeah.
he's completely lost.
Yeah.
And you as the audience feel that
It's
way too.
yeah.
Yep. So
It
It's
was
very
good.
really well
reminiscent.
done.
It's very reminiscent of like okay, so like my wife and she's Vietnamese and it's like me being
At the
in,
dinner
a, in,
table.
in at the dinner table with like her family and stuff and like
Yeah.
a lot of her family like they speak English and stuff like that but like oh man when they like to get drinking and stuff it's all Vietnamese and they're like
And you're just
Yeah.
like,
they like default Vietnamese like it's like oh my goodness it's like
and you're just
it's like
nodding
me
along,
sitting at the
like...
table and they're cracking jokes at each other and I'm just like yeah yeah got that caught that joke and I'm just like I'm totally lost you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I can like kind of resonate with that. It was just like you're in a foreign area where you're just like everyone's speaking a different language and that's kind of interesting.
It
That's
was
kind of an
interesting.
interesting.
I feel like, also it's kind of an easy call for the director to make. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's an easy way to have the audience live through the main character's viewpoint. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, let's just not put
Yeah,
subtitles here.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it
for
worked.
sure.
And it worked well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once Ruben starts to learn sign language and once he starts to get more into that deaf community, like, we start getting more subtitles and we're filled in as the audience,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it did that really well, I think.
For
That
sure.
was a cool use of that, and I don't know if I've ever seen something like that, to be honest. It in some ways felt like a mild version of the if you guys haven't seen it, that movie Censor, how they play with the aspect ratio, like
Right.
the editing of it was like they did something that's been done in movies, but in a new way, it felt like, or in a different way, I guess. Something that I
Yeah.
just hadn't seen,
Mhm.
but I thought it was really well done. Speaking of the director, yeah, like, I mean, the things that I read basically sounded like this was this dude's, like, struggle of life was getting this movie made. Like,
Mhm.
it
Really?
took like 10 years. The
Wow.
cast was gonna be way different. Like,
Wow.
before, there was a lot of like unknowns and like trying to get funding and all that stuff. This dude basically, I resonated with his story a lot, the director, because he had kids at a young age. He was basically in a place where he was just like making money for his kids. And, eventually he got to the point where he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna like write scripts and try to like make stuff, right?
Mhm.
And he was like a caterer or something before this. And he met the director of Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines. I forget this guy's
Oh.
name, but they met, their kids went to the same school or something. And apparently they hit it off like super well. And the dude was like, look, like, I want to write stories. Like, I have this, like, I have this drive to make stuff, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was telling him about like Place Beyond the Pines, and he was like, "Oh, this is a great story. If you guys haven't seen that movie, it's really good."
Oh,
I really want
Uh,
to watch it. Yeah.
it also completely the look of Ruben
yeah, it's
comes
very much
directly
Ryan
from
Gosling, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, he was like telling him this story, and the director of this movie, what's his name, Darius,
Mhm.
Darius
whatever.
Marder.
He actually went and helped rewrite the script for Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was kind of how he got in to the the industry. And the script was changed so drastically from its original version for Place Beyond the Pines that Bradley Cooper, who stars in it, was gonna drop out.
He's in
Like,
that.
it was like this big of a rewrite. Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
it.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
Oh
I
wow.
thought Ryan
And
Gosling was
One of
like
the
the
main
main guy. Damn.
they're
he's
both
in it too.
well,
Crazy.
you have
Yeah.
to watch it.
You have to watch it.
It's like two halves of a movie kind
Sure,
of thing. Like,
sure.
it's like
Yeah.
the first half and the second.
But him getting in helped him break in and meet people and stuff. And basically, like, he won like some award later on that gave him money to like put towards this movie. And this movie was born from the director of Place Beyond the Pines. I really wish I had his name. Sorry that I don't. He had this idea for a drummer, or it was a documentary about a drummer who was losing his hearing in a metal band.
Yeah.
And they just kind of took that
Is
idea.
this
And, like,
is this loosely based on a real story?
it's not like, if you could say that, it would be like crazy loose, right? Like,
Yeah.
they were
But,
in
like,
the middle of making that documentary, but they just kind of took the story and
Okay, so like
molded
the
it.
documentary was about a person. Is that what you're saying, or no?
Yeah, it was about a person,
Okay,
but it was more about a band. But that conflict of like a drummer losing his hearing had come up in the documentary,
I see.
Yeah.
and so they kind of
So
pulled that
the
out and
name-
made it.
Yeah.
The name is Derek Cianfrance?
Seinfeld, yeah.
Cianfrance? Yeah.
He has a weird last name, but yeah, that's the guy. So that's how this movie came, was like an idea of a thing that never got made, and then fighting for like 10 years to get this one made.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of cool is there's other movies that we've talked about. I think it was maybe Soul, where another movie based around music, where this one's a little bit well, a lot more lightly based around music, but it was kind of the story about like getting what you want and thinking that that is like going to ultimately make you happy, and then still being unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, is what this
Yeah.
kind of this whole story is. And it's interesting because I feel like, I don't know, you know, if especially like if this is Darius Marder's like really big project and his big like breakthrough film, that, you know, I wonder how much that is rooted in reality. Is like that sensation of getting what you wanted, ultimately getting what you thought you wanted, and then, you know, is that what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
that's
It's interesting.
like the big thing, right? Is like, what's his? Oh, God damn it! The main character's name, Ruben.
Ruben.
Ruben, yeah.
Like I feel like he knows what his life path is supposed to be, right? He's like, I'm a drummer for this metal like kind of music or whatever. Like,
Duo.
this is what I
Yeah.
am. I am a drummer for this kind of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of it gets ripped away from him, and this whole movie is just about him dealing with his sense of self completely changing, and that is
Yeah.
insanely devastating. Like, just trying to think
Yeah.
about that, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, and like as the viewer, it's almost easy to just be like, dude, just stop drumming, man. Like just stop and like wait
Yeah,
for your hearing to, like,
sure.
work on your hearing, you know?
Yeah.
You want to just say
Yeah.
that, but you see that this character's just like that's just not
Yeah,
really
that's who
problem.
he is, right?
Yeah.
But like,
his more identity.
but like the weirdly annoying thing for me
Mm-hmm.
is, okay, I'm a
Wait,
drummer.
you're a drummer, right? Yeah.
Sometimes. I don't know, maybe. On occasion.
I
I'm a
think
drummer
that's
on
a drum set
occasion.
behind you. I don't know.
You gotta play a
And,
drum solo to prove it though. Like
Right, yeah. And I could probably just do some boom boom like he did in the movie. Like,
yeah, there
okay,
was
that's
no
okay.
drumming in the movie.
Yeah, there's no drum in the movie,
Yeah.
which is a huge disappointment for me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, this
Neither
isn't a
one.
whiplash. This isn't a whiplash. I'm not gonna see like some sort of fake drumming, which like whiplash.
Yeah.
He was
Because this
He-
movie had characters you could empathize with. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
ah
Shitting on Arrow.
ah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Here
Okay.
we go.
Sorry.
Yeah. If you're listening for the first time, Adrian hated Whiplash, hated it.
One of the only
Um,
people on
Wasn't
Earth
for me.
to not like that movie.
Man,
Crazy,
now
crazy.
I'm all triggered. What bugged me? Okay. Look. Okay. So like you see that, okay, he's a struggling addict, and it's made very apparent that, okay, he's an addict, and he decides to take care of his body in other ways, like with the very opening scene,
Squats.
after this, he's doing the squats, he's doing the push-ups, he's drinking a smoothie, he's having a
Smoothies,
well
yeah.
balanced breakfast, but he doesn't care to fucking put in some earplugs.
Well, didn't he have
There's very, when I was playing drums, there are very, very small times, and I do landscaping as well, so I work around heavy machinery who do that kind of stuff. I always make sure to take care of my ears. I don't. There's some guys where I work at in landscaping. They're using the leaf blowers all day.
Yeah.
No earplugs. No
Oh,
earplugs.
man, yeah.
And if they're not using earplugs, they're fucking using not even sound canceling earbuds to listen
Regular
to music.
ass, yeah.
They're blasting music into their ears plus using leaf blowers. I'm like,
Dude,
damn.
Dude, okay.
Never. I'm never listening
Yeah.
to music, and that kind of bugged me. Where it's just like, how are you gonna try to take care of your body as an addict? And I feel like that was something that he learned 4 years past being an addict, as a heroin addict. And it's just like, yeah, okay, he might have had headphones in, and there are some monitors and stuff like that, but like, I don't know,
Dude, yeah.
something there was off for me, where I'm just like, okay, you want to take care of your body this way, but you don't take care of your body that way.
The
It
doctor
seems-
kind of alluded to like the fact that it
seems
may be
weird.
like an autoimmune thing too. Like he's like, whether it's because of you're around loud noises or an autoimmune thing, like the fact of the matter is you need to stay away from loud noises for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
And
I mean,
they
it's
kind of
possible.
leave that up, but like for me,
Yeah,
like
they
I
don't
was
give
just
you
like
yeah.
when they show him like treating his body so well, doing the squats, doing the push-ups and stuff like that. I'm just like, shit, man.
dude, that's
So
the
that
thing.
I can't. Yeah.
That could have been like a good loophole that they could have just filled. Is like if the first scene he was wearing like obvious ear protection. You know what I mean? Like very
Yeah.
obvious, where like he could still hear cues, but because then it would have just been like he was just dealt this hand, right? Like then that
Yeah.
would have added this complexity to like the person who gets lung cancer who's never smoked a cigarette in their life.
Mhm.
Thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I feel like you're saying like he's taking care of his body like in all these other ways. It's like I could see people take for granted their ears and their eyes very easily. Like they don't know what it's like to not have them because it's like you can't like make
Yeah,
them better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With like lifting weights and stuff, you make your actual body
Yeah.
better, but like your eyes and your ears, like you take that for granted very easily. And like I could see anyone like that not really thinking about that.
Yeah.
I didn't
know.
think
And-
about
and,
that
like-
at my job where it's loud as shit, and I only had one
Yeah.
earphone in for a lot of like the first few years, and like this ear is definitely worse. My left ear is definitely worse than my right ear just because I had an earphone in this one listening to music. It's like I didn't think about that, but
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
definitely worse, and like I
Yeah.
wish I fucking
And like
realized that.
I'm like, I don't know. As a drummer, like, yeah, it is devastating, but
Mhm.
something about this movie. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this.
I hate you.
I think.
I hate you so
I
much.
think. Just the way I feel about this is like it's so real. It's so real, and lot of the movie feels mundane to me. It almost feels like I'm watching. It feels like I'm reading this guy's Facebook page
I see what
where he's like, damn guys, I lost my hearing. And then he just goes on with his life where he's like trying to reintegrate and trying to live life as a deaf person. And it feels like that's how this movie feels. It feels so real that it's sort of boring to me in a sense. And like
Yeah, I
like
guess-
it's like oh shit, that sucks, like damn, this guy lost his hearing, and then like here's his fucking normal 9 to 5 day of life. Like he goes to this therapy place and he does these things, and that's what makes it sort of, I know I'm gonna get hate for this because that's just like how I was feeling. Like I was just like,
But did it not put you
It's-
in
it
that
just-
in the shoes of a deaf person? Like you have to deal with this stuff that other people that have like good hearing don't have to deal with. Like I don't know. That's what was so effective for
know.
me.
and
I mean,
that's,
not only
and that's,
that, but
and
you've
that's,
lost
and that's
your
where,
like life's passion.
and
Yeah,
that's
like,
where
yeah.
that's where I'm gonna get the hate from it, is because there's nothing exciting to watch about this. It sucks. It sucks. But there's nothing for me to like. I don't know. And that's what's crazy is like you guys are gonna think, well, what the fuck, James? What if you lost your hearing? And it's just like, I don't know. This movie feels so mundane to me. It feels like such like a regular ass life of some guy. Like it's
Well,
just,
like
that's
I don't
what's
know
weird
that-
about it. And I know it
Yeah.
sounds like a weird controversial take, but like going through this, it's like I feel like I'm watching this guy. I feel like I'm watching this guy say, "Hey, I've lost my hearing. Now I'm over here at this rehabilitation center and this kind of stuff," and it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels so much like real life. It's and I don't know. And I don't know what I'm expecting from it. Like I was expecting so much more music from this movie. Like I don't know. in comparison to Whiplash, I know it's not the same even kind of movie. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I was expecting more music. I was expecting him to like fight back and try to do more, try to do, and he did, and there was moments of that.
Dude, that's what's so tragic. There's nothing he could do. That's what
I don't know.
sucks, man. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
the things that I think the things that you're pointing out as like mundane is like for me, and I think what they were going for is like that's what makes it so relatable. It's just like
Yeah.
we all go through these obstacles that we think like anything in life that you could be experiencing like, oh man, like I have a lot of anxiety. And it's just like you kind of think like, oh, I'm the only person in the world who deals with this. But when you see movies made like this where you see people going through these struggles and they're in their like otherwise very normal lives, there's just something that's like you could just relate to about that, you know. And
Mhm.
it's not about this super amazing hero character. Like the
Yeah, I know.
Ruben
And
isn't that super likable of a character. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you don't really love the guy.
And like, okay, so like, and I see that because I think honestly it would be damaging, like if he were to like heroically be able to, like, you know,
Yeah,
that's a good thing about this movie, is that it's not
Yeah.
exploitative of the deaf community. Like
Yeah.
it's very
Mhm.
respectful, and that there's a whole like there's multiple scenes that tell you, no, this is not something, we're not trying to fix this, we're trying to fix this. And
Yeah.
that's, and that's
Yeah, that was
interesting.
beautiful. Yeah.
And that's like an interesting thing to think, but it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
I mean, I think
it just felt like, fuck, this is like one person's thing that I'm just like, I can't ride along with. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird for me. I don't know.
Hmm.
And that's
think
how I
that
feel. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that.
That's your
I
own
think
opinion.
that
That's fine.
Yeah, thousands of people in chat. I hate James. They're just chanting it. They're just
Only
chanting
my
it, dude.
wife. Only my wife saying I hate you. And okay, so there's a comment, and it's like, you know, it's not this fast-paced action suspense thing. It's naturalistic doc feel drama. And I get that. And honestly, it was sort of boring for me. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm just
That's
gonna
okay.
say that.
That's
No,
fine.
to
That's
be
just how I
fair,
felt. I was just like, it just wasn't. It wasn't, and like, and that's like, that's the difference between I don't want to compare this to Whiplash, but I keep going back to Whiplash.
Dude, I did the whole
Just
time
it's
too.
I didn't
it's
think about
it's
what
it's
Flash
just like
was.
the nearest thing to me is
I
like,
agree.
I just wanted more music, and I get you lost your hearing in this kind of shit, and there's plenty of times where there's just like those wholesome moments, like it's just things that bring you almost close to tears, kind of thing. And like, and you're like, well, how the fuck can you say you're almost close to tears, but yeah, you didn't care about it? It's, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just like, that was just like my general feeling about it. Like, I'm just like, fuck, this is so real that it's boring.
No,
Does that
Yeah.
make
and
sense?
It makes
It's
sense.
too real. It's too real.
I compared it to Whiplash a lot too, but like for me it was the opposite thing where I was like, okay, like here's some characters that I can that we can actually establish. They have like a backstory that we can actually care about. They have some depth. We can learn
Yeah.
about them and like really get into it. Whereas Whiplash, I was just like, oh, there's just like this guy who wants to be really good and he's not maybe that good, but then he kind of is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just we don't have to get into
Yeah.
that right now. Sorry, Jay, you've been trying to get something out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that like I think that this movie tries to like explore a lot of different things, and maybe that's the part that's not really working. Like, for you, I think it worked for me, but
Mhm.
like the hearing thing is one piece, but even the hearing is not the focal point of the movie, right? It's like
Yeah. It's
it's
not
about
this. It's this. Yeah.
exactly, right? It's like the loss of
Identity.
it's about like change, and yeah, like the
I
thing
did.
that I wrote was learning to cope and live versus augment and hack, right? Like trying to take the thing that has failed you and make it work, even though it might not be the best thing, versus living with the fact that it failed you and, you know, making your life great again, right? Like
Mhm.
that kind of thing that I think it's a struggle and it's like hard, and you kind of realize that like he maybe never really accepts that. Like even though
Yeah.
and Adrian said that he's not really like a likable character, but when he gets ingrained into the deaf community and he's like helping the kids and he's,
Oh
you know, becoming
man.
important to
Yeah.
people, I was like, damn, this dude is like he's kind of flipping. And
Yeah,
then he
Is
just
that
leaves,
not?
and
Is
you're
that
like,
not
what
a
the fuck?
natural
He just
reaction?
leaves.
because he's human, and like
Is that not
that's
a
what-
natural reaction? Like it's like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so like we got a comment that's saying that Whiplash is more suspenseful, but it's more contrived, and I feel like this is like just as contrived as the next thing. Like with that kind of stuff where it's like, okay, all of a sudden, like he all of a sudden he cares, but to what extent? To what extent? And like and that's fine for Ruben.
What do you mean cares?
cares like
Like
about
all
the deaf community,
like
or
About
he
people?
cares about the community
Yeah.
that's brought him in.
I feel like it's
Right.
not all of a sudden though. Like it takes time. He's not accepting it at first.
But that's like another thing is that they leave it the another thing of the other thing that I think is contrived is like when he finally goes to Lou's parents' house at the end, you
Yeah.
don't really know how much time has passed and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she magically is there at her parents' house when she's been
kind of hard to-
traveling abroad.
That's what,
She's been traveling abroad
She's
in
been like on
Paris and stuff
tour,
like
but
that.
she's like ultimately been living in her.
That's
Yeah,
in Paris.
he
She-
went
he
there.
goes to
for her.
Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even fucking catch
Oh,
that.
that was.
I don't know.
I didn't actually even catch that either. Well, I guess everyone's.
I didn't even catch that. He goes to Paris.
Yeah, it's not random.
Yeah.
Like he goes there to see her, right?
Right. Like and going back to just doing a lot of things, like yeah, there's this loss of, you know, what you thought was your like kind of purpose in life, and maybe loss is maybe is not the right word. Like he kind of holds on to that, even though maybe he finds an alternative path and decides to ignore it. And there's like the anxiety and struggle around like having a creative profession. There's like the relationship between Lou and Ruben. There's like Lou's parent, like relationship with her parents. There's like all kinds of these other crazy things that they like throw in, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it makes it a little bit hard, like especially in the later half of the movie. It's hard to like pick up of like, especially in the French stuff, like what are we doing here? You know, it gets
I
kind
didn't
of
even
weird.
know
And-
they were in France, dude. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
and
I
even
don't-
the ending is like, what the fuck is like when it ended, I was just like, okay. Part of me was like, I hope it ends at this moment.
Yeah.
And then it did, and I was like, well, what the fuck? Like, you know, I was
Like,
like, what? the
Wait,
fuck?
but not really.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I
But it was
didn't.
interesting.
I didn't think it was confusing. Like time passed between a lot of the different scenes,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I don't think
know.
it's necessarily confusing as much as they try to explore too many deep things
Hmm.
without like really being able to fully explore any of them except for maybe like one, you know?
I guess so.
I mean,
I thought they did
I mean,
fine.
I think it's compelling to dangle addiction and just kind of addiction and what's the other thing they're dangling? I don't know.
Okay,
Well,
so
there's
you-
like
can anyone?
So you say addiction to drumming? Is that where you're going with the addiction?
Well,
No. Like I think the entirety of the movie is not even. It's not even about that he's addicted to heroin. It's that he's okay.
When does
so,
he do
so I
heroin?
think
he doesn't. He just admits he's an addict.
he has been an
Oh,
addict in
he's
the past.
been an
In the
addict. He
past,
has-
right. I
In the
remember that now.
past.
I remember that now.
So like I don't know if you guys know anything about like addiction therapy and stuff like that. It has to do with that you're an addict to that one thing that is your vice at one point,
Mhm.
but also you're an addict for life. And okay, so you might be cured of your addiction to alcohol, but his vice, I know, cheers, brother. His vice his vice eventually changes to the addiction of Lou, right?
Sure.
At,
His
at,
old
at the end of
life,
the
I
day,
guess. You
at
could
the
say.
end of the day, it's because they are so codependent on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They are so codependent on each other, which I think is it's I think that's a very interesting and thought provoking kind of thing that's not very brought up, and because
Yeah.
like I mean when he goes to visit their when he goes to visit the parents, it's like, oh, I hated you because you probably got my daughter into heroin,
Mm.
this kind of stuff. And he's
No,
like, but I love you now because you were also that same person that got her out of it, right?
no, I think I didn't take that like that at all. I took it that like Lou got him out of heroin. Like she was the one to like pull him away from that because she was like so not like she was so against him going back to it. Like the second he smoked a cigarette again and like he hadn't smoked in so long, she called his what do they call them? The
Support
sponsor, I think that's what they call them.
sponsor. Yeah, there you go.
The sponsor, and like that's what led him there because like when he's talking to oh gosh, what's the guy's name?
Joe.
Joe, the guy who runs the place. Like, oh, like how long has it been since you've been clean off heroin? It says 4 years. How long have you been blue? 4 years. And so like those were hand in hand. And like his relationship with heroin ended when his relationship with Lou began. I took it that way.
I
I
don't think it was that way.
No, I think the
I
way
think
that it was intended was that the dad was saying first he said I blamed her mom for taking her away from me, and then he blamed him for stealing his like precious daughter, taking her away from him
and
again.
giving her heroin.
I don't
No,
really think it was about heroin.
No, it's just
I think it was
into
just
this
he needed
removing
someone to
life.
her.
run to because her mother killed herself. Like she
Right.
committed suicide, and like she was looking for a different life kind of thing, and he had that.
But
And like,
Lou definitely had her own issues, like the
yeah,
cuts on her arm, the
Yeah.
super anxiety, the
And
like
like she
relationship with her
took
mother.
she confided in Ruben in those things, right? And like he's saying like he took her away in the way that like
they saved
he
each other.
supported her things or whatever. I don't know, her interests that he didn't agree with. You know what I mean?
They definitely like depended upon each other for different things. Like
Yeah.
Ruben needed to get off heroin, and I think Lou needed somebody to like take care of and to like watch out for and to like really involve herself into. I don't think it was that she was on heroin too. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just like where I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what I'm saying is like there's a lot of heavy shit that they throw at you that they can't really like go into as deep, right?
Yeah.
Which is like fine, like you can do that. It just feels I don't know, feels weird. But it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that like I think I wasn't expecting it, and it makes it a little bit more heavy, and you know it. I mean the movie, even the way that like it's shot, like the way that the frames look, like it's kind of bleak, like all the time.
Mm.
It's very
Yeah.
washed out colors, very like
Which is like
grays
now
and
that you
blues, and
mentioned, Beyond the Pines. What is it? Place Beyond the Pines. Like I
yeah,
definitely see like some similarities just between the cinematography and that. Like just how gloomy it is.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
and
think
the
I don't know. I feel like that was like another thing that like was like I was like the way it was filmed, the kind of bleakness of it. I was waiting for something more insane to happen. Like and like
No
Yeah.
one died, James is
I don't know.
pissed. I don't know.
no one died. No one died. I'm
I
pissed.
could see that.
He didn't kill himself because he can't hear, and I just wanted that. Honestly.
The
No,
cinematography was
just-
interesting because like the all of the wide shots that they did were like beautiful, like all of them. Every single one of them was like a painting. You could hang it on the wall, right?
Yeah.
And then the like the way that they would like kind of I don't know, stitch together the traveling, like it wasn't really like a once upon a time, and it wasn't really like it was just kind of like, okay, they're here, then they're here, then they're here. It was like very fast, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
felt good. Like that worked for me. But these wide shots were beautiful. And then when they got to a place, they would do a lot of like nature shots or just like what's going on. There's lots of shots of just trees swaying in the wind for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then like the clouds moving, the airplane flying over, you know?
You
And
get
that
to
shit was
hear
just
it,
kind of
bro.
weird
I
and
don't
cool.
know.
And you hear it, yeah.
That's what I took out of those. Is like you hear like the natural sounds of things, and you're trying not to take it for granted, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like
reminding
that's
the
why they're-
audience that
yeah.
like these things happen
Yeah.
and to maybe soak those in more. That's a good point.
Yeah, my uncle, he has like really, really bad hearing, and he was telling me that like once he got hearing aids, he started hearing things that he just didn't know people would hear. It was like, like we all wear glasses, and it was just like, oh shit, like you could actually see things well. It was for him, he was just like, yeah, I remember like when I first got my hearing aids, like I would hear birds chirping when I was outside, and he's like, I didn't know that people just heard that,
Yeah.
and it's something that we just take for granted all the time. It's just
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I remember taking a linguistics class in college, and there was a deaf student, and I remember them saying like they would take out their hearing aids because it's like you just hear so much like drony, like mundane noises, like traffic or like different things, and he's
Yeah.
just like that's just annoying to hit the person. It was just annoying, so there's like he would just not listen to those things. But like I don't
Which
know.
I
I guess
think
I
they
just
did.
zone it out. I
They
don't know.
did that well when he got the implants and when he got to France. And then it's a lot of buses and people
When
and
he at
honking.
the very ends.
Yeah, towards the
Oh,
end.
God.
I was like, holy shit, there is a lot of bullshit
Yeah,
in the air that
yeah.
we hear too. Like,
Exactly.
the party scene was like so fucking good. Like I just
Dude.
like
Oh,
just the experience that he has, and again, I
yeah.
think it's such a good way of like showing perspective and like following through Ruben, and because when you were hearing the staticky implant noise, like I remember I had it up pretty loud, and the whole time I was like, there was this level of anxiety that I was like, something loud is gonna happen, and I'm just like not ready, like it was just like there's gonna be a big
Yeah.
crash, there's
Uh-huh.
police sirens, and it was just like that is how Ruben is feeling,
Yeah.
as a character, and
Yeah.
the chatter in the party, you just felt that so much where he couldn't hear anyone. Like he could hear, but he couldn't
Yeah.
listen to anyone.
It's just noise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
When Lou is singing with her dad and he's listening to music, and for 2/3 of the song or 3/4 of the song, it's all like in the regular audio, like you hear it normally. And then the very last quarter of that song, you hear how Ruben is hearing it, and it's just noise, and it's just like awful. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh, God.
and he still has like he tells her after like, oh, I heard you sing, it was beautiful, and I was like, fuck, like you didn't really hear her,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you heard her, but you couldn't.
Dude, that's it's so heartbreaking
hard,
when
yeah.
he gets the what is it? How do you pronounce it? Cochlear
Clear implants, I think.
implants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's so stoked. He's ready to fucking get back
Yeah.
to his life or whatever, and then it's just
Yeah.
static, like noise,
Right.
like an
Yeah.
approximation of what you would hear, and he's just so devastated. And you're like,
And there's that scene where he's
oh man,
and he's just saying like,
But does it not feel like contrived? Like, wouldn't
No.
you go through those Wouldn't you go through those steps and be like, hey, what's the sound gonna sound like? Am I gonna be like, what's the
maybe,
comparison of what a normal person will hear? What can I hear?
yeah,
Is that not
I don't know
is that
if-
not a thing that you can like?
I don't know if
ask
that
somebody?
comes up. Like I don't know. When I was watching it, I was like,
Yeah.
he's gonna get these
And they
things, and
keep
he's
you in
gonna
the
get
dark.
back
They
in.
keep you in the
thing, right?
dark, and that's like the big drop off, right?
Sure.
I took it as
But
like
isn't that
he
the
was
same? Isn't that the same? I don't know. Isn't that something that you go through, like when you're asking somebody, like
Before you
I don't know if you got LASIK
Yeah.
surgery, if you got
Yeah.
LASIK surgery, wouldn't you be like, what's my like what are the odds? Like
Oh yeah.
what is like give me
Yeah.
a
Sure,
give me a
yeah,
decent
okay.
comparison. Like give me a
To
decent
be fair,
comparison
yeah.
between this and that, and you're just gonna blow $80,000 on something you don't even know.
Dude,
Like that
I
is
don't know.
it's a little contrived to
If
me.
you're-
Like it's just like
If you're
how
going
are
through
you
that,
not? And I get it. I get you're like
You
you're
just want it so bad.
freaking
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
something so bad, but like, how do you not? How do you not go through those steps? How do you not?
Even
How
Yeah,
do you not even ask
if
the
it was
questions? How do you
even if
not
it was
even ask the
open,
questions? He was like, "Oh, this shit's fucked up." It reminded me of when I went to get my eyes fixed, and I hadn't worn glasses in years, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I was like, I can't even fucking see in these things. Like, I was like, my feet look huge as fuck, and I was like, blah blah. I felt messed up, but eventually I was able to see, and that wasn't even like the case here. Like how was that not even
but like
something
the
that
ability
crossed
to
his
see
mind?
clear was a possibility in your mind. Like in his mind, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be able to hear again," and it just like never happened. You know what I mean? Like you never thought when you're getting your eyes checked that you're not gonna be able to see clearly, right? You never that never went through your mind.
I think for him it was like also
Because
like he was just like
okay,
this
it's because
illusion.
we I mean like when you think about when you think about lenses, when you think about contacts and stuff like that, like it doesn't cross your mind. It's just because that's like what's so exponentially different about the eyes versus
Yeah, exactly.
hearing. Like like
It's like you would just expect
most people
hearing to be able
realize
like
that,
that,
like
right?
like no, I'm just saying like most people realize that like if you get surgery on your eyes, like your vision is sort of the same, which is like kind of a weird testament to like how different um cochlear implants are. Like it's just a totally different
Yeah.
world where not a lot of us realize how not I'm not gonna say far behind the technology is. It's just not how refined it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Like it's there,
there's
but
like a
it's
big
not.
difference. Is like I think the difference is we're comparing like eyesight to corrective glasses, whereas like like if your hearing isn't like great, you can wear hearing aids and you can hear better. This is like as if you were blind.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the comparison. Like if you were blind and they're trying to make you fucking see again, like which doesn't really, to my knowledge, like popular surgeries for that don't
Yeah,
exist.
there's not even a cochlear implant
know?
to give you something, right? There's like nothing for
Yeah.
that.
Well, like yeah, but yeah, and
And
that's kind of the difference, and that's what the doctor explains is like I don't think that, and you're right, James. Like he probably didn't look into it enough. Maybe he was just like, oh, this is gonna make me hear again. Okay, let's do
Yeah,
it. Fuck it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And which like I mean it goes back into the central theme. Is just like he's very impulsive.
Yeah,
He's an addict.
Yeah.
He wants to
exactly.
get back to where
Yeah,
he was. He was
Mhm.
yeah.
and which makes like the whole scene between him and him and
Lou,
no, not Lou.
Doctor,
Him
Joe.
yeah, whoever the guy is that brings him into
Yeah, Joe.
that yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes it makes it more heartbreaking. It's just because he is acting like an addict, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's doing everything within his power and within his will to get back to this one certain area.
Mhm.
Right. And I
Which
think
is
that's
like
more of like
it's a weird offshoot. It's a weird offshoot. I don't know.
that's
know.
more of how I took it with the hearing is like it's not necessary. I mean I mean it's like yeah, he could be hearing again after this, but the more important thing is like he can resume the life that he has lived for the past 4 years that has gotten him away from heroin. And he, after being in the mind frame of a heroin addict for however long, getting out of it and then doing the only thing that you know how to do
Yeah.
that has worked for you to stay out of it, like if that's a possibility, then yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like if I have a chance at hearing, I'm gonna do it, right?
I think part
But
of him also thinks that like he might lose Lou. if he doesn't have his hearing because
Right.
they're in
Yeah.
the band,
Right.
you know.
And
Yeah.
there's definitely the idea of like he's not looking into this enough because he's kind of just seeing red about getting hearing again, right?
Yeah.
And there's
Television.
like, yeah, exactly. And there's like I was saying earlier, like the idea of augmenting versus like dealing with something is like, you know, he pays for it. Like it ends up sucking, and he gave away everything for it, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is like, yeah, it is heartbreaking when he talks to Joe, and Joe's like, you're kind of being an addict, basically, even though like we know he's not addicted
But
to a substance, but he's
yeah,
trying to get back to this life, and that's a very complicated scene. But the fact that like he literally gives away everything, and that's what it takes for him to ultimately like accept it. I think that was the power in this movie of like, you know, in this case, like that's just what it was. And you know, in other movies, it's like, oh, they find this community and they flourish and they live happily ever after. Where him, it's like he has to see all the things go away before he realizes, you know, whether it's the stuff that he records within the van itself, the community that he was a part of, Lou, like he loses it all basically.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
at the end, he just kind of he sits
finally
for
gets to
once,
that
right? He sits,
silent. Yeah.
which is what Joe
Yeah.
wanted him to do
Yeah.
forever.
Correct.
And there's
I
just
think
a lot of
honestly,
power
I'm
there.
just mad because he destroyed that beautiful donut, and it was just like, and we just had that conversation about cakes versus pies, and I said
And how
donuts are
donuts are
better.
the best. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
destroyed
You
that
said
donut, and I was like, "Are you
10 minutes
kidding me,
into your
dude? That's where my deep like,
hatred for Ruben comes.
yeah." And I
The,
just
the
can't. You
filer of
can't trust a
donuts.
guy who destroys a good donut.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Oh man.
You
But
changed my
some
mind,
other
James.
some interesting things about this movie that I wrote down. I didn't realize that Lou was actually in Ready Player One until about halfway through
Yeah.
the movie. I was like, holy shit, that's the
Olivia
girl from Ready Player
Cook?
One.
Olivia Cook,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was
Stood
cool.
on.
Cool
Who is
to
she in Ready Player One?
She's
She's
Artemis. She's the main like love interest slash
Yeah.
a
Dude.
pretty main character of the story.
Okay.
I don't even remember
Main
that.
characters. What's Joe? Did you say his name was Joe?
Paul Rack? Or Paul Rack?
He's like a big guy in the
Rassi,
deaf
I don't know.
community. I watched
Yeah.
Really?
a music video
His
where
parents are deaf.
he covered Enter Sandman by Metallica, where there's someone
Nice.
playing the music and he's doing the sign language and he's like getting into it, and it's
No
like pretty
way.
cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like I was like, damn, okay, so they got actual people in like this, like I don't know,
That's, yeah.
that I
You need that.
yeah,
You need that in a movie that's be about a deaf community.
Yeah.
Like, you need people who are in that community for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Which is
And
what
then I
Coda
think-
did really well too.
sure.
Okay, so like you guys have all seen, I don't know, like, and I was expecting like, maybe I wasn't expecting, and maybe that's what this movie does well. Is just like, you've seen those kids, you've seen those babies, or you see like it's
Oh,
those
yeah.
things, it's that clickbait stuff
They
where
do the
like
cochlear implant and
the little babies, they get their little ear hearing
And they
implant,
hear
and
their
they
mom's
hear
voice for the first time.
they
or
hear
whatever
their
the
mom's
fuck.
voice for
Yeah.
the first time, and that's like tears.
Yeah,
That's like,
for sure.
That's like oh, you're crying. You're instantly crying, and like
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe this is something like I wanted that, but like maybe that's what makes this movie good is like they didn't do
They
that.
didn't
They
give
weren't
you
trying
that.
to.
It's more
They
They
real,
didn't give you that. They
Like,
didn't give
that's
you
what
the
I wanted to-
freaking.
like to our
Oh,
life. I guess.
yeah, I wanted to talk more about that scene where he's talking to the doctor, where he's just like, and she's kind of like dialing it in, and we're hearing how Ruben is hearing at the time, like as the audience.
Yeah.
And I feel like, personally, I was waiting for it to just sound like really good at a certain point, for it to just click. Like they just hit it on that sweet spot, and you're like, oh shit, he could hear perfectly.
Yep.
God bless America, roll credits. Like, you know, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And she just says like, you're not actually hearing. Your ears don't actually work.
You're tricking
we
your brain
implanted-
into it, right?
Yeah, and like that's
Yeah.
what was so beautiful about it. Is just like this is the reality. This is
Yeah.
like this
God
is
damn.
great.
Mm.
Because to go back to like the babies who are born deaf is just like they've never heard anything. They have nothing to compare it to, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this guy's in his mid-20s, I assume, maybe 30.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's had a
he's
long life of hearing, and like just losing that, I cannot imagine. I literally cannot
Maybe-
fucking imagine.
That ties into something else I wrote, and maybe this is wrong, but I don't think it is. Like when he's going through this, even after he becomes, kind of ingrained into the deaf community and like is helping the school and is like loved by people there and stuff, he doesn't actually say I'm deaf until he sells the RV. And the
yeah,
guy's like he's just gets kind of fed up with him and is like, I'm fucking deaf, bro. Like, what are you saying?
Hmm.
That's like the first time you hear him say, I'm deaf. Every other time he says something that has to do with his hearing, he says, I can't hear. I can't hear you. I'm having a hard time hearing. He never actually says the words, I'm deaf until that. And that's the
Mm.
last thing that he possesses that tied him to his old life, right?
The van.
And that was like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But there's still this whole other emotional attachment to Lou and stuff too that kind of keeps him, not
It's like
fully
his
in this world.
motivation, right? To
Yeah.
get back to her, that life.
And what you start to, or I guess in that whole process, like when he's having to have things like written down for him and stuff, I don't know about you guys, but like when things were written on napkins or paper or whatever, it was hard to kind of read what was written, which I think was
Yeah.
on purpose. Like they didn't really give you a clear shot of it. It was like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
wrote something, you can kind of get an idea of what it
Yeah.
is, maybe.
same thing with emails that are on the screen and like
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
And
but
it was like, it was, I think it was on purpose, right? Like, if you had to swap to like just write it for me and I'll read it, and your conversations become like a one-sided piece of paper, it's just a totally different experience. But at first I was like a little bit annoyed. I was like, fuck, I want to read what they're writing. And then it kept happening and I was like, okay, this has to be.
Yeah.
it's intentional.
You're not supposed to know.
and,
Yeah.
and like for me, the whole thing is annoying just generally. I think like it's just like okay, I get that they took his cell phone, this kind of stuff and this and that, but he's ingrained in this culture and like can he not just like call Lou and just be like, yo, I want to do this and this and that? I don't know. It's just
I
like
can't hear her response, dude.
Well, they have the
But he has that
phones.
phone.
can he
the computer?
okay,
Text her,
not call
email
her.
her.
Whatever it
Can he
was.
Okay.
can he
sorry.
contact her and let her know like, hey, I'm gonna sell all of our shit so I could get this done? And it's like it seems like a romantic gesture that he sells fucking $80,000 worth of
40 to 80 to be fair.
band
He got
band
20
equipment.
he got 26 grand for the RV, so he
Oh
needed-
man, me and Jay we used to be in a band. We know that
Used
that
to.
shit. That shit is expensive. There's probably
yeah.
$80,000 with all the shit he sold, all the fucking sound decks,
That was some crazy
fucking
shit.
all that
That
kind of
was a lot of
shit.
shit.
And
That's
like
why
he
he
sells
broke
all
some
that
of it.
stuff,
Yeah,
and it just,
he did.
it's just, yeah, he breaks all this stuff,
Broke my heart too.
and it's just like, yeah, broke your heart. Why? Is it because he's deaf, or is it broke your heart because that shit's
that was
expensive?
expensive, bro.
Oh my God, that's just expensive, dude.
See? Yeah, see? Okay, and so he breaks some of this shit, and it's just like it frustrates me to think that these people don't have the decency to just fucking ask somebody like Joe, hey, like why, like just why, and that's where it goes back to just him being an addict. Like he just wants to be back to, he wants to be back with everything. But like if he was fucking honest, he wouldn't be in the position that he was in.
But
Is
I mean, I
is that
Isn't that
is
the
that
point?
not true? Like
for money from Joe like right away. What do you
no, I'm saying if he fucking contacted Lou and said,
Isn't that
hey,
the
I'm
point?
gonna
Is that
sell
he
all my shit
can't
so I could get
contact the
my
outside
ears
world?
fixed, and Lou could have told him this shit's not fucking gonna pan out. like we want it to.
But
Which was which was what it was.
It's about, like, holding on to
Regardless,
that.
I think
like-
I think regardless whether or not he was hearing or not, it wasn't gonna work out with Lou, right? It's because they both realized that they had outgrown
each other.
they had outgrown each other. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wasn't that the
And-
point of him being there? Was he shouldn't and wasn't allowed to basically contact his outside world, other life or whatever the fuck? Because
Yes,
he's
but how-
supposed to get
but
used
how-
to this deaf community, like this new
Yes,
life.
but
that he's...
how fucking would you rather have the betrayal of asking Joe, hey, I'm thinking of these things? Would you rather have Joe tell you no, you can't talk to your ex-girlfriend or your girlfriend? Or would you rather have him kick you out because you did so many rash things? That just doesn't make sense to me. That just doesn't make it just doesn't make sense that he went behind their back like that in such a brash way. Does that
Yeah.
does that
don't know.
make sense where I'm coming from? Like,
Yeah, it does.
He
But
knew
it's like,
the
okay, like-
answer.
like he went behind their backs even though he had gained their trust, and he was definitely a part of the crew now, right? Like we had definitely seen that when they brought up the subtitles and stuff like that. Like he was definitely ingrained in that culture.
But, like,
I
that's
feel
hard
like-
as,
How fucking hard is it to just ask Joe, hey, I want to talk to my girlfriend. Can I do that, please? To ask her, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to sell my stuff. Can they just be honest from the beginning? And I know that that's like the big setup for the end where
I feel like-
you went
I
behind my
don't know,
back,
man.
you sold the stuff, this and that, and that's like the big fucking like cliff. That's not the cliffhanger, but it's like the him getting kicked out of the group.
I
is the
feel
big
like-
thing.
oh,
But
man,
I'm
I
just
don't
like
know.
it just doesn't feel like for it being so real. That feels
I feel like that's a realistic thing because if you had contact or like connection to your past life, quote unquote, or like anything, like it'll be harder for you to let go of the life you used to have where you could hear
then
things.
that feels wrong. That feels wrong. That's
Why
that's
though? Like you
directly-
need to let go
that's
of it.
direct- no,
he
but that's
can't hear
directly-
anymore.
That's directly against what they're trying to fight. Like if they're actually trying to rehabilitate the mind,
Then you don't want
asking Joe that-
distractions.
and Joe definitely would have said no. Don't sell all that shit. Don't contact your ex. Don't contact your girlfriend. And you already know that Lou would have probably said don't do that. But he acted brashly and he acted in his own self-interest.
that's the thing. That's just a testament to how like flawed Ruben is as a person. Like again, he's not a
Yeah.
perfect individual, and he's acting like an addict. Like he's just gonna do all of these things because he believes that this can save his future and he can hold on to this like dream that he has. Because like
Yeah.
in Ruben's perfect world, he finishes up in that I don't know if you want to call it rehab, gets the implants, his hearing goes back to 100%. He gets back with Lou, they're back on tour, they make the album. That's the perfect world, right? And like that is
Yeah.
what Ruben is holding on to the whole time. But I feel like we as an audience, like everyone just knows like that's not gonna happen. That's not happening.
Yeah.
But him as a character, as an addict, is like he's
I
holding
guess
on. to
yeah.
that.
I guess that's the difference. It's like I can't have the mind of an addict, and it's just like
Yeah.
when is that? I guess that's what it shows you. It's like it's the mind of the addict. It's the mind of the addict. It's like, but I
Right.
feel like any normal
Because there's
person,
no plan B
any
for him.
normal person would try to just like barter.
Yeah.
know?
I
Which
feel like for
I
him,
don't know, I
there's
feel like
literally-
that's
there's
addict.
no
I don't
plan B. He has that life, or he has no life, or he has a gun in his mouth, as he said. Like when he was going deaf, he said, and it's
His
like,
tattoo says, "What does it say? Just
please
kill
kill
me or
me.
some shit."
please kill
Yeah.
me. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
Oh my
like,
god.
Yeah. So, boy, man, this got all over. It got heated. I think we're about ready for ratings. Get our rounding thoughts in and everything. Does anything else we
Shit.
want to talk about before we get into ratings?
This movie is, as of a couple days ago, announced getting put into the Criterion Collection.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing. I don't know if I've seen a movie that close to
Oscar
release.
nods to this?
They haven't announced them yet, but
Oh.
if Riz Ahmed isn't nominated for Best Actor, I'm fucking pissed, even though it doesn't matter because reward shows are fucking stupid. But holy fuck, Riz Ahmed claps in chat. You know what I'm saying?
He did pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe I wasn't blown away as you, but
All
he did
right.
pretty well.
Okay.
What?
It's just Jacob. It's just Jacob playing
Sorry
the
for
drums.
that.
Oh my god.
Well, okay.
Uh,
There was
Friend,
a there was
blonde hair.
a small
Dyed blonde hair.
Easter egg
Oh.
to Spinal Tap.
Dude, it turns up to 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does he?
When he's getting the hearing test,
Yeah,
the guy tells him, "I could have turned it up to 11 and you wouldn't hear shit." Basically.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. I got that too. I was like,
Shit.
okay.
Okay, you can say no, I don't want to talk about this, James, but you alluded to referencing another movie about a deaf person.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up. I don't.
You don't have to. I just want to see.
Okay, so
You don't have to.
okay.
You don't have to. Hey, whoa.
No, I'm gonna give this movie props. It's probably the only positive things we're gonna be saying about this movie. Me.
Whoa. Hey.
Okay, me.
Okay.
Me, not we. Yeah, I like that this movie didn't exploitate the deaf community, just like an anime movie that's very well regarded
Very well.
among
For
anime
some
watchers.
fucking reason.
Very well regarded. I don't know
God.
why it's well regarded.
What is it called?
What is it called? Silent Voice?
Silent Voice. There it is.
A Silent Voice. I'm sorry.
There's better anime.
Konokatachi.
Yeah.
A
We
lot
got a
of
couple
people. Yeah, Adrian tried to watch the movie. He stopped watching it. Yeah, so like that.
Yeah.
That movie made you feel bad for deaf people, and there was bully who
Yeah.
made fun of that kind of stuff. And this movie,
Made you feel with or
Made you
for?
feel
I don't know. It's like a
alive.
different thing, right?
yeah,
I
it's
feel like
totally
it did
different.
good.
Yeah.
It did good. Yeah, we're talking shit about
Sorry.
anime.
Hater,
Silent Voice.
Anime sucks. Anime is trash.
It's no. That movie just it just exploitates that kind of
Yeah, God.
audience,
Jesus
and
Christ.
it's in the wrong way. This movie doesn't it doesn't try to draw any tears from you.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Okay.
try to draw any tears from you, and it doesn't like make you want to feel pity, because I think this is a very uplifting movie in that regard, and yeah, just like I said, it's about not fixing this, it's about fixing this, it's about fixing
Yeah,
your mindset,
It's putting
and which is a beautiful thing.
it puts you in the shoes better of a deaf person.
Yeah.
Like in a very, very good, well made way, I guess also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Two
right.
ratings.
Besides
Let's
that,
rate
I don't
this.
know.
Is anyone ready to go first?
I
or-
did not thought about my number at all.
I feel like I can go first.
You should.
if,
Go ahead.
Totally
Go
should.
for
All right. Okay. So, man, going into this movie, I was expecting something completely fucking different. Like Sound of Metal, I was like, this is gonna be some movie about like metalheads and just like about, I don't know. I was just like, it's gonna be hard for me to care about this movie. And so like when I threw it on, I was eating, like I was eating lunch and stuff, and then I started getting into it, and I was like, hold on, let me pause and like put the dishes away. Let me sit down and watch this. Like, let me really want to get into this. And as you do, you realize that it's not really at all about a movie, or excuse me, it's not a movie about somebody dealing in a metal band. It's about a movie dealing with their own identity. And like it was something that right away I feel like I related to on this weird level where Um, I have this I have this scar on the back of my head that I've had my entire life, and like throughout like elementary school and middle school and stuff, like I was so embarrassed by it, and in high school I grew my hair out and it like covered it, and it was like always this thing where I was trying to hide that thing because I hated explaining what it was, and honestly it was just a birthmark, but it just bothered me so much, and I remember I had this conversation with one of our good friends, a former guest of the show, Helen, who I was just saying like, oh, like when I'm 21, I'm gonna get this hair transplant surgery, and I'm gonna like fix this scar on the back of my head. And I remember her telling me like, why do you want to do that? Like, what is your reason for doing that? And I was like, I don't know. I just think I would be more confident. Like I would have more self confidence. Just like, what would give you more self confidence? Like getting a hair transplant surgery or learning to live with the way that you are? And like honestly, like at that point, I was just like, "You're fucking right," and that was, I feel like, Ruben's journey through this whole film is like not being able to accept the reality that it was dealt with. And again, like granted, like the scar on the back of my head is like this really trivial thing comparatively to losing your hearing, but it was just a way that I could really relate to the movie and just like a very like Ruben's just a very normal kind of person, like he's as James was kind of saying the whole time, it's like it's not exciting, it's not thrilling, nothing crazy is happening. Like we don't even particularly like Ruben the whole time, but it was just really relatable. And I think the final scene when he has the implants in, there's just madness and chaos, and he finally just takes them off and he hears complete silence, and it was just like him accepting who he is, and like it was just this beautiful shot, and like the credits start rolling and it's just dead silent, and like you know it was great. It was really really good. It surprised me. There was like a little like things that weren't as desirable. Like the movie wasn't completely perfect. I think it kind of dragged a little bit. There was some acting kind of. I think the chemistry between the Olivia Cook and Riz Ahmed were like it was a little bit awkward. It wasn't all the way there. Like there could have been some work on, I think, maybe the writing between those two characters. But all in all, not to let this review drag too long, it was really good. It was really deep and it explored a lot of topics. It's it's an 8.3 out of 10 for me. So
Okay.
that's where I'm
Wow.
at. 8.3.
Any
Nice.
takers for number 2?
I
No?
could go.
All right, Jay, it is.
Yeah, I getting into it, I was like, okay, metal band, I had knew the premise was like a drummer or something happens to this drummer. And I was like, okay, here we go, another fucking drumming movie. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was like, okay, you know, metal music stuff, yeah, but all that kind of goes away very quickly, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes more about the people involved, and you say, Adrian says Ruben is like just a normal person, and he is very much like portrayed as like this person that you can relate to and stuff, but like he's also like very much a craftsman, right? Where like that he cares about drums and music and stuff, and that's shown all the way through, like from the first scene where he's not only taking care of his tools, right, the soundboard, he's dusting it off, he's fixing up his speakers, he's putting on some music, but he's also taking care of his body, which is like his tool of making music and drumming and stuff, and like he cares very much about this stuff. And then that extends into when he's slapping the slide with that kid outside,
Oh my
to when he's teaching
god.
all the kids how to drum on
So
the
good.
cans.
Yeah,
Like
buckets or whatever.
he loves what he does, and he cares for it, and he shows that, right? Which I think just strengthens the whole like you lost your hearing, you got to find your way back type of deal. Um, the shots were gorgeous. A lot of, like I said before, the wide shots were like really, really, really good looking. The sound design was like it was really intense. It was, I don't know. It's a hard thing. Like when sound is bad in a movie, it sucks. But when sound is bad on purpose like this, like it just makes you feel a
Yeah.
certain way, and
Yeah.
it's hard. It's like a hard thing to do well, but I do think that especially as the movie got on to the later minutes, right, where the way that you hear through his perspective becomes shorter and shorter because you kind of know that it just sucks at that point and you don't really want to be hearing that yourself. They did a good job balancing that, right? Like you hear 3/4 of Lou singing with her dad, and
Oh
then the
my
last
God.
fourth is him. Those things became more and more powerful later on, but also like not annoying, which is what I was kind of afraid of like, okay, I'm gonna have to hear
Sure.
through
Yeah.
his lens this whole time. It's gonna suck. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that they tried to do that maybe like for me this I view this as like, okay, it was interestingly made to where I will watch whatever this director does next just to see where he goes,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
because of the way that this was done. And there's a lot of like really cool things that I liked. There's maybe a couple small things that I wasn't as big a fan of, but all in all, like when the credits rolled and the silence is there, like, you know, not only is he finally sitting in silence and thinking, but you are too, and that's
Yeah.
powerful. And you're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, like what the fuck? Like you're forced to sit with your thoughts about what you just saw. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. So I'm gonna go with an 8.7 for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
8.7. Nice. All right. 8.7 out of J. James, are you ready? I feel like we need
I
Sure.
to.
kind of want to go first
Sure.
because I don't want James to bring me down.
Dude, but.
There's nothing I can say that's gonna bring you down. I don't think
You've
anyone's
already
agreed with
brought me
anything I've
down.
said. No, I'll go. I'll
No.
go.
All right.
James,
You're ready? Go for it, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
hey
something
man,
in
I
this.
just got one out on Whiplash, so like this is your time to be the
Oh, there's no
Yeah,
way you can
I
be
mean,
as
I don't know.
sad.
Yeah,
You can't. You can be that bad.
yeah. Um, something just didn't land for me with this movie. It's just it felt too much like it was that docudrama kind of feeling. Like it was just like, okay, like this is something that you watch and you're like, okay, like I get a better understanding about the ASL community. I get that. And you get a little bit of the addict community, right? Like there's a nice little balance
Yeah.
between
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff, but like most of the movie felt just it felt dragging, it felt sort of mundane to me. It really did. It really did. One thing that I didn't really even catch on, which my wife did towards the end, was just like, oh, like they're Lou and Ruben are each other's drug, kind of in a way, and it's like kind of one of the more interesting breakup scenes that I've seen. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
where it's
Dude.
just kind of like, you know, like it's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no, you saved me. No, you saved me. It's like you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful. Like kind of thing. It kind of happened,
Right.
and it's just, you know, it's 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 interesting to see in the mind of Ruben where you know he's thinking irrationally, and he's willing to do whatever he can to make it happen, just kind of like that self-sabotage kind of thing. And I appreciate that, you know, they when he's in the rehab center, like you think he's almost gonna fall in love with that other girl.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought so. The
And
teacher?
Which girl?
and they don't
Oh,
go
yep.
there,
Sorry.
like, and they
I'm glad
don't
they
go
didn't.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm glad they didn't, like. And that kind of stuff is like, it's refreshing that like this movie, that's what's weird about this movie, is that it doesn't it does a lot of refreshing things. Like it's not exploitative of the ASL community or anything like that. But something about this movie just feels so boring to me. And I know I'm gonna get hate for that. I'm just like, it just feels like I'm watching from, even though they give you like the direct mind of what he's going through. Like I'm just like, man, sucks for you kind of thing. It's fucking weird. I don't know. I don't know why I feel that way. And it is so weird. It's like, and like, I don't know if that's just like my outside look on like an addict's perspective, where I'm just like, fuck, man, can't relate. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, sorry, dude, can't relate. Like, which is like, was just fucking crazy to think. It's just like, you're a drummer, James. Like, imagine losing your hearing, and then I'm just like, fuck. But I can't imagine throwing everything else away because I fucked up on my hearing. Like, and that's what's weird about this movie, is that it's just that addict mindset that I just can't sympathize with, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. And I don't know. This movie, definitely give it the Oscar for sound direction, right?
For sure.
Definitely. Like it's annoyingly loud. It's annoyingly weird sounding. Like it's like uncomfortably loud. I guess it's not is a better word, not annoyingly. But sitting watching it, and like once it ended, I was just like, man, this is just not, it's just not hitting it for me. And then Jacqueline, my wife, bringing in some kind of things, it's like, no, like, it's just like, there was a very beautiful scene at the end where they're just kind of sitting there on the bed, and it's just like, well, you know, we helped each other through the end. And it's just, I don't know. For me, sitting in sevens, and I just want to say, I feel like it's a 7.
I'm pissed
for me,
honestly.
That's honestly higher than I thought. Like,
Yeah, me too.
It's lower than I thought.
that's
You're
respectable,
crazy.
man. That's respectable. 7 out of 10.
I could have gone lower.
You know what, it's okay.
He's just threatening.
All
It's
right.
like, hey, I could have gone lower, all right?
Could have. I mean, if you want to, let's hold on. Cut that. Okay.
All right, what's your
So
real
yeah,
score?
5.
Terry.
5?
No.
Stream's over.
Terry.
I'm gonna go full Adrian on you guys.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn. Okay, I watched this movie, I want to say a couple months ago for the first time, and didn't watch it since. Yikes.
Oh, you didn't rewatch it?
No, I didn't. I'm too lazy. But I remember
What are you even talking about, bro? Just kidding.
seeing talk about this movie for months and months, and finally it was released on Amazon Prime, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this fucking movie. The trailer fucking had me feeling, I was like, I
You
have to
sent it
watch
to
this
me.
shit. Yeah, I was
You
like,
sent it to me, and
James
I was
likes
on
drums.
board.
It's like,
You
maybe
sent it to
he'll
me.
like
I
this.
was on board. Like I was like, okay, I'm on board.
I watched
I'm
the
like,
trailer
this
before
is-
this, and I'm
this is
like,
insane.
fuck, dude. Even just watching the trailer after watching the movie, I'm like, feeling hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll start by saying this is the best movie that was released in 2020. And it's not much of a competition, no offense to Sound of Metal, but like not much was released.
So I said at the beginning it was 2019. It's kind of more 2020 release. We didn't really go over
Toronto
that.
Film
Yeah,
Festival,
Film Festivals 2019, but like
2019.
general public
Just to
2020.
clarify, yeah.
Like late 2020. Like it's not even like a question.
November.
Yeah, it's like definitely for us casuals 2020, but compared to everything else that came out, like there's nothing that compares, dude. Like nothing made me feel the things I felt watching this movie. Like I feel like I've said this the past couple episodes. It's like movies are empathy machines, and this movie is such a fucking example of that. Because it's like you can't really experience the deaf experience. And this movie, the audio design for sure, I think it was you, James, that was saying give the Oscar to audio mixing design, whatever it's called, to this movie is like for sure, dude. Because it's, I don't know, the way that this movie was shot and like the editing and the sound and everything was just so perfect for this kind of thing, where it's making you feel like you're in their shoes, man. Like you're in Ruben's shoes, and it's so fucking devastating to me. I cannot imagine being so into one specific thing and then just having that ripped away from you. This movie did such a fucking good job of just making you go through that, I guess. I don't know. Like I'm on your guys' side where I thought it would be more about the music stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That didn't detract from anything. Like once it wasn't,
For me,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't better or worse for that, but like it was just,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess just a little more open, I guess, to turns. I don't know what to say, dude. Like this movie made me, like, it sounds so fucked up to say, but it made me like appreciate the hell out of being able to just hear normal ass things, right? When he, at the end of the movie, when he's just accepting that he's deaf and stuff, like that shit hit me so fucking hard, dude. Oh my god. I don't even know what else to say, honestly. This movie blew me away. And I am surprised that maybe besides Jay, you guys didn't think very highly of it. Like
Hey, 8.3 is pretty good. Like I liked it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But like, I don't know, Riz Ahmed, his performance was fucking insane. And watching interviews with him, and he's just like, he was so stoked to be a part of this movie. Like it came through in the acting and the performance and everything. Is just like, this guy was in it for sure. Like, sick. Watching him in Rogue One recently, I was like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. I want to see him in bigger stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just, I don't know, seeing him go through all the things that he did, where he's trying so hard to get back to Olivia Cook's character, whatever her name is. And then he finally gets there, and it's just so different. It's just so heartbreaking. I don't know. I guess I connected to it a lot more than you guys. I forgot what Jay gave it. What did you give it? Can you tell me real quick?
8.7.
Honestly, it's a 9. Like, flat out. Like, this movie was heartbreaking, and it touched me in a way that I did not think movies could do. And they continue to surprise me. I love fucking movies, dude. I fucking love movies.
Yeah. No, to be
really
fair,
cool.
as I was watching
Really cool.
I was like, I'm glad that I have to watch this movie. Like, you know, I was happy about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So on 9, Fumbler Hall of Fame worthy for Taryn.
Mm-hmm.
For this one. That's a big one. That's a big score. But collectively, we're at an 8.25. So 8.25. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know, that does it justice. I think, like Whiplash didn't
That's a
land for me.
great movie.
Like Whiplash didn't land for me. This one didn't land for James, and that's fucking okay. That's why.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all objective, right? I mean,
That's like
you know,
your opinion,
it's
man.
subjective. All objective that James is wrong. No, all subjective. Yeah, so 8.25 out of 10 from us. We would love to know what you guys think. Leave us a comment on any of our socials. Find all of those at filmfumblers.com. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of that jazz, Twitter. Next week, we are reviewing Pi, not to be confused with Life of Pi. Pi from 1998, I think it was.
No Lions,
From
right?
from the 90s.
The one without
Tigers.
lions. Tigers?
Yeah,
Fuck, the ones
Tiger.
without tigers.
they're probably not lions, tigers, or bears.
Oh
But
my.
we are going to be reviewing that on Saturday, March 13th, one day before Pi Day. So that's a fun one. Don't miss that one. We will catch you guys next time. Again, find all of our stuff at filmfumblers.com or Google filmfumblers anywhere. Yeah, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye bye.